Hello guys and welcome back to the sim here in Brunei. Today we're going to take a step away from the throttle behind me and we're going to look at a tutorial for LCDs. These seem to be the hit thing on my website right now. People are asking how do we connect them and how do we get them to display. Most of you I guess are building a 737 if you're watching this and you've gone for the 16:1 large LCD display, and this display is the one that everyone keeps asking about. How do we get the 1601 to work? Most people can get the 1604 and the 1602 to work with Mobiflight, but not the 1601. Okay, so I've got it here and I got this from eBay. The link is on the website because it changes so frequently, and it is ideal for the IRS on the 737. It fits in perfectly, it's large, and you'll see that in a second when we power it up. One thing I need to tell you about, you do need this additional IC² board. Fortunately, my display came with it, so I didn't realise you guys were ordering it without the adapter. If you look at the 1604 version and the 1602 version, you can see that the board is actually pre-soldered to the unit. I'll put them to the side for 1 second. So we've got our 1601. First thing we need to do is put our IC² in. Now, I have to admit, coming back and reviewing this, I really don't like how this is done. When you put the IC² board into the adapter, there is a lot of play in it. It'd be better if this header unit was removed and this was soldered directly to the back of the board like this one here. Anyway, we'll give it a go and see what happens. I've not powered this one up because I want to go through it step by step with you guys so we can see what problems occur and how it goes. Obviously we're going to use Mobiflight, and for me I would use PROSIM. PROSIM will drive Mobiflight, which will then talk to the board and then the display. To start with guys, we've got our Arduino Mega. We've got our 1602 board. So this has got 16 characters across and 2 lines. We've got a 1604 here. This has got 16 across. In fact, this has actually got 20 across and 4 down. And then we've got the display most of you are asking me about, and that's the large screen 1601 and how to connect that. We'll do that last because that's got a few glitches that need a bit of tweaking to get it to work. All the other displays are quite simple. So starting with the 1602 again, it's only got 4 connections, the top one being ground, so we'll use black for that, and then into the ground pin of the Arduino. The next pin is the VCC, 5 volts, goes into the Arduino. Nice and simple. Then we've got the last 2 pins, and they're the data pins, and we've got SDA, and we've also, on the Arduino, we've got SDA and SCL written down here, and they match exactly what we need to plug into. They're pins 20 and 21. SCL. Wiring really was that simple. It's 4 pins, power and ground, and the other 2 pins being the IC² data protocol. Let's shift across now to the computer and to Mobiflight and do the rest on there. The first thing we need to do is tell Mobiflight what devices we've got connected to this board, and the only device we've got connected right now is the LCD display. So we're going to head off to settings, Mobiflight modules. You can see that this is my old MIP board. That doesn't matter. We're going to add a device. It's going to be the LCD display. The address is 0x27. That's correct. That's what they standardly come pre-programmed as. So right now I'm showing you the 1604. These boards come with a standard hex address of 0x27. However, you can change that address if you need to by soldering over these jump leads. And you've got A0, A1 and A2 on these IC² driver boards. By soldering those 2 together, any 2, you change the address of the board. I've never needed to do that because I tend to only have 1 board on each Arduino. So I'm going to leave the address as 0x27. So there we go, 16 and 2, and I'm going to hit upload. We'll see the lights flash on the Arduino, hopefully if it's working. Now let's program it to display the two VHF frequencies, VHF1 and VHF2. Just as an example of what you can do before we move on to programming it as an IRS display with the 1601, which I'm guessing is what most people want, especially when they come to my website. But for general purpose programming, we're going to use VHF1. We're just going to type in the edit line, VHF1. That's not how you spell VHF1. There we go. I'm going to hit the edit line. We're going to use the offset for Microsoft Flight Simulator for the VHF1 display, which is 05 Charlie 4. It's 4 bytes long, and we'll hit OK. So just see what that comes up with. Now we've got to select active and we've got to select run. That'll take the data from Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you can see that we've got an outrageously long number there. That's too long for what I need. So I'm just going to divide that by 1000, which should knock off the 3 noughts at the end, hopefully. And it has, perfect. So we can see that the output value is displaying the proper VHF code. It's 6 digits long. Now we want to display that on the LCD. Going to go into the display tab. Going to select the board, and we're going to select the LCD display. We're going to delete all this text that's highlighted in this box. There we go. And I'm going to type in VHF1 colon. That text is always going to be on the display regardless. And then we're going to use the $sign 1 2 3 with a decimal point, and then another 3, and we're going to hit OK. And now we can see that we've got the VHF1 COM frequency displayed on the screen. So we've got VHF1 done. Let's do VHF2 and get that displaying on the same display by adding another line, VHF2. We're going to hit the edit button. We're going to enter the offset for VHF2, which is 05 Charlie 8. It's 4 bytes again, and we need to transform it and divide it by 1000 because the digits are too long. And we're going to hit OK. We're going to make the line active, so it's getting the data from the sim and it's outputting it. And you can see that VHF1 is 128900 and VHF2 is 124850. Only VHF1 is displaying on the LCD display, so we need to go back to the original now, the original line where we set the LCD display up on. And that's line 1, because you can see in the output LCD display. We're going to edit that line. And you can see at the bottom here, we've now got this second reference box. We can hit the tick box there, head back over to display, and at the end we can hit return, and we can type in VHF2 colon. Instead of using the $sign, it's assigned the hashtag to this one. So now we just put in the hashtag 1 2 3 decimal 1 2 3. Hit OK, and hopefully this LCD is now a VHF COM radio displaying the active frequencies. We can now take this one step further by swapping out this display with a 1604. It's actually a 20 by 4. There we go. I'm going to head into settings, Mobiflight modules, LCD display, change that to 20 columns, 4 lines, and hit upload. Give it a couple of seconds to do that. Mobiflight rocks, it's always a good start. Hit OK. I'm going to hit run, and that should take our old data and put it straight on there. I can see that it has done that. But we want to add to it. We want to set the VHF1 active and standby. So we want to show both on there. So all I'm going to do is edit the first line so I don't get confused. VHF1 active, VHF2 active, and VHF2 active is good enough. So we're going to add a third line, and that's going to be VHF1 standby. Edit the line. We're going to use the offset 05 Charlie Charlie. It's 4 bytes, and we're going to divide by 1000. Hit OK. I'm going to duplicate that line. There we go. Ah, VHF2 standby. Going to hit edit that line. We're going to change the code to delta 0. So it's 05 delta 0. It's still 4 bytes long, and that's all really good. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit the edit button on the first line. And we want to add in the standbys. So VHF2 active is hashtag. We do want the VHF1 standby, which is exclamation mark. Let me write that down. 1 is that. And then we want to use, you can see it's duplicated the VHF2 active. We want to change that to VHF2 standby. Hit the use button, and we're going to change that hashtag to a percentage. Go over to the display, and I'm going to do some editing here. So active is there. Hit enter there. VHF1 standby. That's going to be exclamation marks. One more. Okay. VHF2 active. And the last line, VHF2 standby. Do you know what? I can actually fit that in, can't I? I'm just trying to make it look pretty, if I'm perfectly honest. There we go. Yes, I prefer that. And we need the percentages for the last one. I'm going to hit OK. Go over to the LCD and see what we've got. So they've all worked bar the bottom. Well, in fact, both the standby ones have failed. Now what? Oh, and because you can see why they've failed. It's because the lines aren't active. Let's try that again. And in they go. And there we have a working comms panel displaying all the 4 frequencies, the standbys and the actives. It's quite a good unit if you want a short, compact display. I mean, the possibilities are endless right there. Just amazing. And these displays are really cheap from eBay. Just remember to make sure you get the IC² driver adapter with them. It saves so much hassle. Now let's move on to the one that everyone's been waiting for, the 737 IRS with the large character display on the 1601. This can be a nightmare, and I guess this is why I get so many questions asked on the website. The wiring is no different. I'll let you stop Mobiflight there. Just going to pull the 4 leads out and plug the new one in. So we're going to set this 1601 board up as the IRS, as in the 737. Let's head over to settings to tell Mobiflight that we've changed the LCD display. Going to select it. It's set from the previous one, which is 20. It's back to 16. Now, word of warning, and it's the biggest word of warning I can give you. Do not push 1, even though it is a 16 by 1. If you do that, you'll do exactly what I've just done and written off 3 Arduinos. It's an absolute disaster. You need to keep it as 2. And I may have just lost another board. Rubbish. Okay, let me try and load that again. Now, when I say you've lost the boards, you can still use them as a Arduino sketch board, no problem. But Mobiflight Well, as soon as you put 1601 into Mobiflight, and I've done this on various computers to test it this morning, it bricks them, and Mobiflight will no longer see these boards anymore. So let me see what's happened to this board. Okay, LCD display. I'm going to try and change that back to 16.2. As I say, do not put 1 in. 16.2, and then upload. Hopefully that will work. It's worked, I can see it already. Perfect. While we're here, I'll quickly close down Mobiflight. Let me get rid of the recording stuff behind it. And I'll show you exactly what happens if you put a 1 in there. So this was my favourite prototyping board, that's why it's in the case. The computer recognises it. It will actually display as an Arduino Mega in the profile. Let's start Mobiflight. It will ask it to upload the firmware, even though a minute ago it had the firmware. Let me make this bigger. There we go. Do you want to add the firmware? It's uploading. It's flashing away. It's done. But you can already see that we're starting to have errors. That hasn't detected any modules down here. And there we go. There's no way now to access the Arduino anymore. It just doesn't recognize it. The firmware or the serial number, and I can't populate it by right click on it. Regenerate serial. Can't do anything. So it basically bricks it, and I haven't found a way to get around it yet. I will talk to Sebastian at Mobiflight at some point and see if he knows anything. In the meantime, don't put 1601 into that box. Stick with 1602 and plug your board back in. Let's do this again. Restart Mobiflight. So all I'm going to do is going to head over into the settings again now that I had all those problems. Make sure that it is set to 16.2 and the address is correct, and it is, so now we're ready to program it. Edit out of that, exit out of that, exit out of that, and we're back into the main line. And it's going to be the left hand side IRS numerical value. There we go. We're going to edit the line. I'm going to use the offset, the free offset 66 delta 2 because I've not looked it up. I just know it's 4 bytes long. That's okay. Hit the display tab. We'll select the LCD display and hit OK. I'm going to hit active on the line so it pulls in the number from the IRS display, which it has done. Going to add the next line, which is the right hand side numerical value, IRS numerical. Going to use the offset 66 Charlie 8, 4 bytes long, hit OK. Activate that line, 168, 168, that's good. Going to add another line. This time it's going to be the left hand side IRS character. Now the character is north, east, south or west. Edit the line. This is only 1 byte long because it's just a 1 or a 0. 66 delta 0. 1 byte long, that's fine. That's all we need to do. And repeat that after making it active for the next line. And that's going to be the right hand side IRS character. Going to use the next offset from the last one, which is 66 delta 1, and hit OK. I'm going to make the line active. There we go. That's all good. So we're going to hit the first character line. We're going to hit the edit button. We're going to select the compare tab. We're going to apply comparison. We're going to select the value equals, and if it equals the decimal value 2, then we're going to set it to south. Otherwise, any other number other than 2, we're going to set it to north. And we're going to hit OK. And we're going to do the same for the east and west. We're going to edit the line, apply comparison. We're going to equals If it equals 4, we can see that on the side here. Then we're going to set it to east, which is what's displayed in the ProSim tab here. If it's any other number than 4, we want it to display west. Hit OK. Done, 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 done. Back to our first line now, to the display line. Sim variable, right. What we don't want is it to display negative numbers. So all I'm going to do is put a times -1 in there. I'm just going to hit OK to make sure it goes positive, and you can see it's changed the values now to positive. And into display, delete all this text. I need to go back to the sim variable and write down what our characters are. So our right hand side numerical is hashtag. Right hand side numerical. The left hand side character is an exclamation mark. Right hand side character is a question mark. Okay. Going to make those lines active. Very important that these tick boxes are selected. And we're going to head back over to the display tab, and we can then put all our data in. So the left hand character is an exclamation mark. It's followed by 3 dollar signs, a minute sign. Oh well, hello, what happened there? A minute sign followed by 2 more numbers, which is the dollar sign, followed by a decimal point, followed by, there we go. And what I've done there is I've used, you can see that the latitude and longitude can be 3 digits long, so it's 3 digits. Then we've got the minute sign, we've got 2/3 the digits, 2/3 the dollar signs, we've got the decimal point, and then we've got the last digit, which is also represented as a dollar sign. We've got to hit enter now. Parameter is a percentage, followed by hashtags, followed by the minute sign, 2 further hashtags, a decimal point, and now the final one, which is another exclamation mark. I'm going to hit OK. Head over to the display, and yep, I've got something wrong. So the left hand latitude is working, the longitude, latitude is not. So I've got a percentage sign, which means I've obviously used the wrong parameter in the box. I've used percentage. I don't know why I know that. I already know it's an exclamation mark. It's a question mark. Is it? Yes, it is. There we go. It doesn't matter what size display you use. The basic principles of programming Mobiflight and ProSim are the same. As long as those offsets match in ProSim and in Mobiflight, it's going to work. Try not to use an offset that's already used, or visit the offset guide from FSUIPC. There's a whole host, there's literally hundreds of offsets, and you'll probably find that the IRS real code, the real offset that you should use, is in there already. It will definitely will be. That's it for this episode. I'm going to move on now to the stepper motor conversion. It's printed. I'm just putting it loosely assembled here in the background. You'll see that in the next episode, hopefully. In the meantime, guys, from Brunei, sim out.